Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. John Pollock here, along with John Ramdeen and Robin Black, heading into this weekend. The UFC hitting Austin, Texas, with a very interesting fight night card headlined by Cub Swanson and Frankie Edgar. The featherweight division has had a lot of focus, a lot of it because of Conor McGregor, and this is a very important fight. Cub Swanson has been told that if you win this fight, you're getting that next title fight. We are going to see what happens here. But Robin, you did an excellent breakdown of Frankie Edgar this past week, and as we go to Saturday night, this will be Cub Swanson's second straight fight, going 5 rounds after the Jeremy Stephens fight. Does this style of fight, does it favor Frankie Edgar, who is much more accustomed to going those 25 minutes?
Yeah, that's interesting. Frankie Edgar wins round 4 and 5 pretty much every time he fights, and that's a great point. Cub Swanson looked very good in rounds 4 and 5 in that fight with Stephens. But I love this fight. I can't really pick a winner. Cub Swanson's truly my very favorite artist to watch perform. The beauty with which he uses his offense, the way he moves, the aggression, all of that stuff. It's so incredible to watch. And to see him take on his toughest opponent ever and one of the pound-for-pound greats. I'm not picking a winner. I'm not writing nothing. I'm not tweeting nothing. I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to sit there with John in a bar in Montreal, drinking a beer, and watch the beauty unfold.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You look at, to me, Frankie Edgar is just remarkable. And you look at one of the reasons why this fight is so interesting is because of the intangible, something that you can't measure, and that is the heart of Frankie Edgar. Yeah. Because every time this guy gets beaten down, he finds a way to come back, and he finds a way not only to come back, but to hurt his opponent and to make them work. And he's just so good everywhere. You can't predict his movement. You can't predict how he's going to attack. And I think it's one of the remarkable things about Frankie.
A lot of people are discussing, you know, is Conor McGregor going to leapfrog Cub Swanson if he wins here? Could both not happen here, where there is enough time that Jose Aldo could fight if Cub Swanson is victorious in early 2014, somewhere around April, and then you have Conor McGregor defeating Seaver, setting up a big stadium fight in the summer. Could both not occur.
For sure. And you mentioned the featherweight division is the best in the sport right now. 185 is really exciting, but featherweight, man, there are some superstars in there, brilliant fighters. But Conor McGregor makes that whole thing light up. What was he saying? It's like, Nick Lentz. Who gives a shit about Nick Lentz? Nobody cared about Nick Lentz. You know, he's right.
He also said that the UFC is lying to Cub Swanson. He says he's not getting the next title shot.
I'm
getting the next title
shot. The
guy's
a genius, and he can fight.
Yeah. And it's something that I don't want a full division of Conor McGregor's, but having that one lightning rod, you see that ripple effect. I mean, here's a card, much like Jose Aldo and Chad Mendes last month, where Conor McGregor's shadow is over top of these fights.
You go with the stars. You let them do their thing, and you know the thing about Conor McGregor is, yes, he creates so much interest, but where he's different than Chael Sonnen, because Chael Sonnen was all about creating the interest, but when he got inside of the cage, he just couldn't deliver the way that he needed to deliver. Conor McGregor's not that guy. He comes in prepared. He comes in with new tools every time he steps in the cage, and he always thrills the crowd.
You make a very good point. You don't need a ton of them. You need one per division, because Ronda Rousey made 135 women's division. They hated this woman. They could not stand her. Who is this Ronda Rousey strutting around acting like she owns the whole place? Thing turned out, the woman can fight. Same deal with Conor McGregor. He's going to keep taking tougher and tougher fights. And when he does, if he keeps winning, that whole division benefits. All those guys make money.
As we look at this card as well, Edson Barboza taking on Bobby Green. Bobby Green has looked tremendous at 155 pounds. In this fight, he's talking about the fact this might be my last fight, which is always something concerning when you're going into a fight. I think Bobby Green here, he's someone that very much underrated within this very, very deep weight class. But is that concerning when you hear a guy going into a fight with already an exit plan?
Of course. He's got one foot out the door, and he's facing Edson Barboza. We know how talented of a striker this guy is. And it's a guy that's working with Frankie Edgar, who's preparing for the main event. So you know he's going to be on fire, ready to perform. So for Bobby Green to kind of mentally be not prepared or making all these comments shows a little bit of a dent in his armor.
Nah, man, I hate to break it to you guys, but every single fight, that's true. Guys do put things out there for other guys to read, but every single fight, every single show, if you're the coaches and the fighters themselves see that and they go, oh yeah, I've said that a lot of times. They usually don't say it in the press, but almost every fight, when you're in the back and you're hitting pads, you're like, this is my last one. This is the last one I'm ever going to do, so I'm going to go leave it all out there. The coaches have seen it a million times. Fighters have seen it. Almost every fighter is saying that. You convince yourself this is the last time I'm ever going to take that walk. I'm ever going to do battle, and I'm going to do it so great. It's just what you do, and a lot of guys do it. And fighters see him say that and go, yeah, I've said that a lot of times.
But do you look for a way out? If this is on your mind and you're in a bad position in the fight, are you going to try to fight through those bad positions, or you know what? I was considering leaving anyways.
Part of the thing is, if this is my last one, I want to leave it out there. I want this to be the defining one. I will fight to the death, and then I never got to do it again. It's when you go, the guys who look for a way out, and we've all done it. I've done it. I've been in that situation, and you're feeling you're broken down, and the natural human tendency is to go, I'll get him next time. There's no next time if you convince yourself it's the last fight. And in your last fight, you perform the best. And so a lot of guys convince themselves every fight is their last fight.
One more topic for this week, and it's the guy that just stays within the mixed martial arts space, is Brock Lesnar. His contract is going to be up in around April of next year with the WWE. And there is no other wrestling promotion to really leverage off of. And it's always been the UFC that by default has become that leverage. This past week, we now have a new player in the game in Bellator. And if you're aggressively going after names to draw eyeballs, does Bellator make an offer Brock Lesnar's way, who is absolutely going to take every offer and size them up on the table? We already know that Scott Coker, way back in 2007, when he was in talks with Paul Heyman, when they were discussing Paul Heyman buying into Strikeforce, part of their business plan was the first MMA debut, the debut of Brock Lesnar on national television.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Coker knows what he's talking about, and he looks at the big picture, and the big picture is, how do we entertain the people that are in the venue and watching at home? Well, we saw the numbers that Tito Ortiz put up on the last Bellator show. Brock Lesnar, one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts. He basically transcends the sport, so I can understand why Coker would be looking at this guy, and it puts Brock Lesnar in a great position.
Thinking about it, yeah, Bellator will make an offer first. You heard it first from John Pollock right here.
No,
They will make an offer, for sure.
And you also have to look at just the fact that Brock Lesnar, a great contract with the UFC, how many fights are you going to get in the UFC versus Bellator? I mean, a lot of different moving parts there in the world of Brock Lesnar and mixed martial arts.
Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar.
Could happen.
Bellator.
More Fight News Now Extras coming up.